This is the Rays POSTCAST, your instant game reaction for the Tampa Bay Rays, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the late night version of the Tampa Bay Rays POSTCAST, your spot for instant Rays reaction after every single game. My name is Jonathan Shields. If you're new here, I was born and raised in St. Petersburg, Florida, a diehard Rays fan. My family had season tickets growing up. I've been to over 200 games, and I know we're still getting the Rays POSTCAST off the ground. So if you're new, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. I'm going to be here after every single Rays game, win or loss. And unfortunately, we're coming to you with another frustrating, I'm going to say that word again, frustrating Rays loss as the Rays lose to the Diamondbacks 5-1. Let's get into what we will be talking about.
This is what you'll be talking about.
We're going to talk about the offense struggling yet again. I have actually some pretty jarring numbers here to share with you guys. We're going to talk about Zack Littell's outing. We're going to talk about the Chandler Simpson that we all know and love, and we all saw in the minor leagues, him showing up in a big-time way. Then we're going to talk about what's next for this team. Where does this team go from here? Is it time to hit the panic button? What do they do now? So we're going to talk about all of that right here. Let's get right into it. And for the first time in 7 games, the Tampa Bay Rays scored first. And it was shocking to hear that number, that stat. But then when you look back and see where the Rays have been, it's really not. After this game, they've now lost 6 of 7. And a lot of them haven't even been competitive. They needed a miracle comeback to even get that one win. And now it's the first time scoring in 7 games. So you get the Meisner and Magnum. I saw someone on Twitter say M&Ms. I thought that was a cool nickname for them. They both have been fantastic so far this year. Few bright spots in this Rays offense so far this year. And then so Meisner doubles, Magnum singles. They're up 1-0. And then going to that third inning, even though Zack Littell didn't give up a run yet, his stuff just didn't look that good. I don't know if any of you guys noticed that. I was seeing a lot of hard hit outs by the Diamondbacks. So it was only a matter of time before they put it together, and Pavin Smith eventually would put it together with that big 2-run home run. And Zack Littell doesn't have blow past you stuff, and he tried to blow a fastball back past Pavin Smith, and he was all over it for a home run. But now we're going to get into the offense struggling. Those are kind of the highlights from each team. Not a lot of runs scored. Obviously, the Diamondbacks had that big bottom of the 8th inning to kind of put the game away. But here's a stat for you. I said this in the previous episode. This team will go as Yandy and Brandon Lau goes. And further from that, Aranda and Jr. Yandy, Brandon Lau, Aranda, and Jr. combined 1 for 14. 3 double plays, a walk and a hit by pitch. Thankfully, Aranda was even able to stay in the game after he got double doinked in each kneecap. Let me say that again. Yandy Diaz, Brandon Lau, Jonathan Aranda, Junior Caminero, the Rays' 4 best hitters, a combined 1 for 14. It is the same story over and over again with this team so far this year. And it's frustrating. I'm just like you guys. I am frustrated. And if you're the Rays, I think this is one of the better lineups they can put out there right now. And it's just not producing. We saw this almost exact same lineup produce in a big way against the Yankees in that game where they came back to win. And now those are our key guys. Not to mention, those 3 double plays that I mentioned came up in huge moments. The Yandy double play especially was just backbreaking. It's the top of the 8th. Simpson and Lauer on. Any kind of hit in the outfield was going to score Simpson. So, and he's just routine double play. And maybe I'm overreacting, right? It is still April 23rd or whatever day it is now. I guess it's just past midnight, so whatever the next day is. And it's just been the same story with this offense all year. And it was the same story with this offense last year. So why am I supposed to be confident that this offense is changing when it's the same stuff we saw last year when this offense struggled? And those 4 I just mentioned are the 4 key hitters. They need to step up. And if they don't, the Rays are going to lose 5-1. The Rays have now scored 2 or less runs 8 times this year. That is a jarring number. There's only been about 21, 22 games. And in 8 of those games, the Rays have scored 2 or less runs. That is unacceptable from this team. This team that 2 years ago, just 2 years ago, led Major League Baseball on offense. And now they can't score more than 1 run a game, 2 runs a game. Think about, and we're going to get into the pitching in a second, but think about the pitching. It's 1-0 losses. It is 2-0 losses. It is 2-1 losses. And it's just unacceptable. And I don't know how you guys feel. If you guys feel this way, please let me know in the comments. anytime the Rays have a deficit, I don't think they can come back and win. You know your offense is bad. After Pavin Smith hit that home run, I'm like, oh, the game's over. The Rays aren't going to score another run. Like, I don't know if I'm the only one that feels that way. And then when they added the other home run, it's like, oh, now it's definitely over. There's no way the Rays score 3 runs in this game. And maybe it's just a lack of faith I have in this lineup, but how have the Rays proven to me this year that they can compete with this lineup? And when they get down, that they can come back. Obviously, they had that 9th inning against the Yankees, and they had the 16 runs against Boston. But, man, every time that they get down, I just don't have the confidence lineup yet that they're going to come back. But let's get to the pitching. And before we talk about Zack Littell, we need to talk about this pitching staff as a whole, because I don't know if they're getting a fair shake of it, because, man, it is tough to consistently win if you're a pitcher. If you're basically said, if you give up more than 3 runs, you're going to lose the game. And that's where the Rays are right now. If you give up more than 3 runs, it's almost like, oh, there's no chance to win. And then, by the way, if you guys are in here, drop a comment. We're going to get to them. I'll get to all of them later. But this one from Gary really stands out. And shout out to Gary, always giving kind words in the comments. He's concerned about Littell. I am too. I said at the beginning of this episode, in the 3rd inning, even though he hasn't given up any runs, his stuff didn't look good. There was hard hit outs. There was line outs to center. And it would have been more. And it just didn't look good. And then you have Joe Boyle, who literally hasn't given up a hit in over like his last 12 innings pitched, just sitting in the minor leagues, waiting. So I don't know how more often you can try out Zack Littell. And I think what they were going to do to begin the season was going to work, where they were going to back up Zack Littell and Drew Rasmussen starts off one another. I think Zack Littell will be much more effective as a bullpen piece, a 2-inning bullpen piece. And don't get me wrong, he's a decent 5th starter, right? He's a good 5th starter, and he shouldn't be asked to do anything more than that. And tonight, he ended up only giving up 3 runs, but the stuff just doesn't look the same as it did last year, or even at points this year. He has given up. Lefties are hitting 353 off Zack Littell. Lots of hard hit outs. And Dwayne Stats said this on the broadcast. I don't know if this is right. He's already given up 7 home runs this year. I've watched every Rays game. I don't know if I've just been a little tuned out during the Zack Littell starts, but 7 home runs, that's just unacceptable from Zack Littell. So I don't know what the Rays are going to do with Joe Boyle just killing in the minor leagues. Obviously, McClanahan's going to be back, hopefully in mid-May. That's what we desperately need for McClanahan to get back. But pitching is not the problem with this team. The problem is this lineup. And we're going to talk about some positive news from the Rays and some stuff to look forward to after this ad break. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. The NBA playoffs are here, and FanDuel is giving new customers an incredible way to get into the action. Right now, when you join FanDuel and place your first $5 bet, you get $250 in bonus bets if your bet wins. FanDuel has so many ways to bet your favorite player props, from 3-pointers to steals to assists. Don't miss a chance to get in on the action. Don't miss your chance to head to FanDuel.com and claim your $250 in bonus prizes. Again, if you guys have comments about the game, please leave them in the comments. We'll get to them later, because this was, I'm not going to lie, very, very frustrating loss. And you look at the schedule. Let me read you guys their upcoming schedule. And it's like, when is this going to turn around? Their next handful of games, they have 2 left at Arizona. They go to 3 at San Diego. We know that, right? And then you look ahead, 3 against Kansas City. They were in the divisional round of the playoffs last year. Then you go to New York for 3. 3 versus Philadelphia, 3 versus Milwaukee, 3 at Toronto. That is a brutal stretch. And you look at this Rays team, what gives you confidence right now that they're going to turn it around? And before we get to the positive, there's one thing that really bugged me. And I am maybe the biggest Kevin Cash defender. He gave up on the game in the 8th inning. He left Engler in there when he was clearly struggling. The back-to-back walks, you got to go get him. You have Clevenger coming up. Naylor's a lefty. You have to take him out in that spot. And Kevin Cash gave up on this game when it was 3-1. And how can I blame him? When you have this offense that cannot score, Kevin Cash didn't have confidence in this lineup to go score 2 runs in the 9th inning. And he gave up on the game in the 8th inning. And there's no pitchers that were tired. There's an off day yesterday. So, look, I will be a Kevin Cash defender. I think he's the best manager in baseball. But just a head-scratching move right there to give up on the game in the 8th inning when it was only a 2-run lead. And you could have brought in Clevenger, who was already, I don't know if he was hot, but he was getting loose. to come in and try to save that game. So before we get to the positives, we're going to get to the turning point of the game.
Time to reveal where the game was won or lost. It's the turning point.
It's easy to go to the Pavin Smith home run. I thought the turning point was the Yandy double play in the 8th inning. That was just a skull-crushing, back-breaking double play because it was hard hit, right? Yandy always hits the ball hard, but right when that happened, it's like, man, like it's really just not going to happen tonight. So let's get into some positives. And I wanted to include this as a segment on today's show, Chandler Simpson showing up. We got the Chandler Simpson experience. We had his incredible catch in the 8th inning. That's going to go unnoticed because of where the game was at and how the game was already in hand in this game. But then you have the 2 kind of slap hits that he does. And we know what Chandler Simpson is. He is not going to be a power hitting guy. But his job as a leadoff guy is to get on base and steal bases. He did that today. So I think someone asked me in the comments of one of the most recent videos is what happens when Pistachios and DeLuca and Josh Lowe comes back. It's going to be really interesting because I think Curtis Mead's going to be the first one to go down. And then after that, you really start to pick, like, is Magnum going to go down? He's been really freaking good. I don't think Meisner is going to go down. I think Meisner might have the longest stretch of all of them. But I think Chandler Simpson, Eric Nylander already said he's going to be here for the long run. So it's a good problem to have this many productive outfielders, but hopefully it doesn't get too crowded. Hopefully these guys can keep producing. But I really did want to shout him out because he's not going to be my player of the game, but I thought he was fantastic tonight and just showcases what he can bring to this Rays team on a daily basis. But let's get into the player of the game.
This is the Locked On Player of the Game.
And frankly, the only guy that showed up other than Chandler Simpson was Magnum. He went 2 for 2 with a walk. He's so fast. And they show on the broadcast, him and Bobby Witt Jr. have the same sprint speed from home to first. That's pretty incredible. Bobby Witt's like the fastest player in MLB. Well, now that Chandler Simpson's here, it's probably Chandler Simpson. But so I have to give him his flowers. He just continues to produce. And this is a guy that might earn a bump up in the lineup. And I really like how the Rays structured their lineup. And it was probably Junior's worst game of the season. Not probably, it was his worst game of the season. So for the Rays to be successful, they need that lineup depth. And to have Magnum hitting 7th and giving you that production. And if he just gives you half of that production and the top of the lineup, the big guys that we talked about earlier, gives you the production that they should be giving you on a night-to-night basis, this lineup is eventually going to hit. There is 130-something more games left, and I'm confident that this lineup and the depth of this lineup will show up eventually. But now let's get into what's next for this team. What does this team do? And drop in the comments what you think this team needs to do, because I gave you guys their schedule coming up. It is brutal. Everyone that they play next on their schedule, after, even though Arizona didn't make the playoffs last year, San Diego, Kansas City, New York, Philadelphia, Milwaukee, all made the playoffs last year. So there's no hiding it. The Rays probably have one of the tougher strength of schedules coming up in the MLB. So it's put up or shut up time for the Rays. It's time to either go out and win some games. And I've said it every single podcast. You cannot win a division before Memorial Day, but you can lose it. And the way that this division is, the way that the AL is, they don't have that top team, but they have a lot of mid-tier teams that are really good. The Rays could fall, and all of a sudden we're at the All-Star break or the trade deadline right and on August 1st, and the Rays are selling everyone. And so we'll see. I don't know where this team's going to go, but the things I do know, I trust Kevin Cash more than any manager in baseball. I trust his starting pitching staff, especially when McClanahan gets healthy, and I trust his bullpen, and I trust that the depth of this lineup will soon play out into what I think it's going to be. So let's get into some comments, see what you guys have to say. And we're going to get to this one because this is a quick one. When is Kim expected back? He's throwing and taking ground balls. So they said mid-May when it was originated. So hopefully it is before that for this team because Taylor Walls plays shortstop. And I kind of feel when Taylor Walls in there because he lined out twice. So sometimes you don't even see him making hard contact. So I feel for Walls a little bit in that spot. But man, it is he can't come back soon enough. And if he comes back, then it just lengthens that lineup even more, guys. And I'm telling you, this lineup has potential. And the Rays hopefully are playing the worst baseball of the first half of the season right now. I just think just any second now they can flip it and get on a hot streak. And then we talked about this. Hate when Cash punts down 1 or 2 runs. he doesn't. I think fans get on him a little bit too much for him, but in this game he gave up. And look, Kevin Cash knows more about this team than anyone will ever say, but he gave up on this game, and it was incredibly frustrating to see because it felt like the Rays were still in it a little bit, and Engler was done. He was gassed, and they just kind of left him out there and said, "Figure it out, kid." And shout out to him for just doing what he could. But I mean, man, it was tough, and this is a good thing. Gary back in here, look, he is right that no one as a division has taken off yet. I think right now, last time I checked, that the Blue Jays were second. But you look at the Orioles, who were I was actually low on them in the preseason. I was high on Boston. So, but you look at these teams, the AL East has 5 teams that can make the playoffs, 5 teams that could win this division. So when I say he is right, it's likely that no one's taken off yet. But we also got to caution ourselves that even though no one has taken off yet, it doesn't give the Rays that much cushion to keep losing these games. They got to start stacking and stacking and stacking these wins. And we're going to get – I just lost the comment I was going to put up here. Here's Gary again. I'll do one more. Or this is Craig. Too many of the same type of players, no power. You have slap hitters. I think that obviously Simpson is a slap hitter, but there are some power. Yandy has power. Brandon Lau has power. Meisner has power. Junior has power. Aranda has powers. So I don't agree with that too much, but we'll see. It's a long season, but you're right that if you have too much of the same archetype of the player, then your lineup is not going to be too successful. We'll get to one more comment here, and leave your comments. And if you guys comment on the recording of this video on YouTube, I'll make sure to get back to you guys if you have a question or anything. And there's no way Lauer DeLuca will be producing more than Magnum or Meisner. People forget Josh Lowe 2 years ago was a 290 and a 2020 guy. So I know he had a rough year last year. He was hurt coming in spring training. This was going to be a big year for Josh Lowe. And the fact that he got hurt was just devastating. I have my doubts about DeLuca. I agree with you 100% on the DeLuca part. But Josh Lowe is a stud. Josh Lowe should have been all-star 2 years ago. Again, when we get him back, he is a 2020 guy that is with just all-star power, right? So he's going to be the right fielder when he comes back. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. It's just what are they going to do with the other guys? And so we will get to one more here before we get out of here. And I thank all you guys for joining in here, leaving your comments. Late night with the Rays. And again, I will be here for every single game the rest of the season. And we'll get to one more with Craig again saying, this is a really good point. You have 7 starting pitchers on a 40-man roster. You got to move some pieces. He's right. I don't know who's going to get moved. I thought when they traded Springs to Oakland, that was, or I guess not Oakland, is what they call themselves, the Athletics Baseball Club, that was the move that they were going to make for the starting pitching. But I don't think anyone expected Joe Boyle to be that dominant in his first outing. So I think what they are more prone to do, especially if Kevin Kelly stays on the IL for extended time, is move Littell to more of a bullpen role, move McClanahan up, obviously, when he starts, and then maybe they give another shot at Boyle. Maybe they go with a 6-man rotation. I don't think that's talked about enough. Right now they have a 5-man rotation. If they go to a 6-man, every starter gets an extra day of rest. Like, I'm not a pitching coach. I trust Kevin Cash. I trust Kyle Snyder more than any other pitching coach in baseball. So if it's just, what are you going to do in that spot? But I agree with you. It's a good problem to have because the Rays have a lot of quality starting pitchers. But at the same time, they have too much, and you might be leaving someone out that is really talented. So again, I thank you guys for joining the live. I'll be back here tomorrow night and every night for the rest of the season. If you're watching the replay, whether you're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you may be, leave a like, comment. If you're on Apple Podcasts, leave a review, rate it 5 stars. And especially if you're in the YouTube watching the re-recording, leave a comment, leave a like, send it to someone. We're trying to build this community of you guys and to be here through all of the Rays. Hopefully a lot more Rays wins to come. And just a tough night for Tampa Bay fans in general, man. I'm a big Lightning fan too, and obviously they got smoked too. So hopefully that both teams can bounce back. And the best part about baseball is that there is a game tomorrow. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Thank you guys for joining.